Not often I talk about brand new brands you've never heard of, but that's what we're going to be doing today in this review of Leia Cup. So we're going to get into who it's good for and how it worked for me right now. Hi, and welcome to Period Nirvana. My name is Kim Rosas. I'm a period products expert, and you guessed it, on this channel we talk all things period products, specifically reusable, and more specifically, menstrual cups and discs. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. On Period Nirvana, which is a website, along with all of my social media resources, you're going to find tons of informational content to help you succeed with menstrual cups and discs. If you're new to menstrual cups and discs and you don't know where to start, the first place to go is periodnirvana.com and take the quiz. We have 29 unique outcomes, and it offers cups or discs as a result that are tailored to your needs. You can also check out all of our other helpful resources for an even deeper dive into all of these products. And if you're in the US and you are looking to buy something specialized like a menstrual cup or disc, forget getting confused on all of those overwhelming websites. Just head to Period.Shop. It's a curated selection of the best brands available. They're all proprietary, unique, and I picked them myself. And of course, new to the world and also new to Period.Shop is the brand we're here to talk about today that I tried myself. It's called Leia Cup. It has 3 sizes. It was designed by an OBGYN, which of course immediately piqued my interest. I wanted to know what cup would an OBGYN design. Starting with an unboxing. You know I love unboxings. Trying something a little new here today to give you a better view. They come in these clear, hard plastic cases. These are totally hard. I mean, you're basically looking at a cube, and if you see into them, only one of them I kept the instructions in. They do come with a paper of instructions, but what you're not seeing is a reusable pouch, and that is one of the bummers about this brand. You're paying a fairly premium price. It's right now $36 or $37, and that is their MSRP, so what they sell it for, we have to sell it for, but they don't have a pouch. This is your instruction manual, and it is quite small, but they actually have a really nice demo guide on their website, so you might want to look to that versus the instruction manual just because it is tiny, 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 but that's what it comes with. Not a lot to unbox, to be completely honest. Now that we've seen the unboxing, let's talk about the product itself. If you are new to menstrual cups, you're going to fold it. To insert, lots of different ways to fold. I have a full guide on folding. For the Leia Cup, I found the labia fold to be probably my preferred option, where you pinch it and you tuck it and then you squeeze it. That's because it does have an angled rim at the top, and I just found that to be probably my best folding method for insertion. And then you just, guide it in, make sure it's open fully so that it doesn't leak. With this being an angled rim, you might not want to fully spin it. You might want to kind of spin back and forth versus like doing a 360 when you're inserting the tall part to your spine, the low part towards your belly button. That's how you're going to insert it. So think about that as you put it in. And there are other ways to help open it. You can squeeze the base, you can sort of tug on it gently, very gently, pump it. There's a couple different tricks, or you can even push against the vaginal canal to help it open if it doesn't. But luckily, Leia Cup is actually a pretty firm cup, meaning that it should open without much trickery needed. You don't have to manually open it like you do a softer Firmness cup. Going back to our sizes here, the small Leia Cup is 61 millimeters total, including the stem. Just the body, if you needed to trim that off, that is 49, and it has a capacity of 26 milliliters. For the medium, it is a total length, including the stem, of 64 millimeters. Body length is 52 millimeters, and that holds 28 milliliters. The total length with stem included on the large is 66 millimeters, and the length of the body is 54 millimeters. And the large holds 28 milliliters. All of these measurements are from the brand, so I'm going off of what the brand has sent because measuring every single cup I get with calipers is exhausting. What is confusing when you get into menstrual cups and specifically start looking and comparing different sizes and which size to choose can be how brands tell you to size their cups. Leia Cup has a very unique way of telling their customers how to size, which includes by height, and it's not something that I would recommend doing when it comes to finding a size. Is going based on your height. It really is always about the rim diameter in combination with your cervix height. So as always, it's really recommended to get in there and measure your cervix on your period before you choose a cup to make sure that either the entire product fits with the stem if you want to keep the stem, or to make sure that the body itself fits. I almost feel like Leia could have done 2 sizes. They could probably have merged these 2 into maybe 1 size, the medium and the large. I did want to quickly go through and see if it really holds about 28 milliliters, which is what they say. I have a tiny little measuring cup. Each one holds 15 milliliters. Some brands measure all the way to the rim. Some brands measure to the suction holes. And in my experience, because menstrual blood is thicker than water, if you go above the suction holes, you're not going to see leakage through the suction holes. These are not the tiniest holes, but they're not the biggest I've ever seen either. They're pretty average and they're easy to clean. All right, so this is 15 milliliters here. We are getting dangerously close to the top. And then this is 15, so we should be able to fit another almost full one of this. Ooh, yeah. And I have exactly 2 milliliters left in this cup. And when they measure their capacity, it is literally to the brim. So keep that in mind. It is very like, ooh, right there to the brim. Okay. Mystery solved. It does hold 28 milliliters, as they say, so their measurements are right, except they are like, with surface tension included, it was like, whew, really to the top. When you have a very heavy flow and a low cervix, most people are going to go for the marula, and so this is 30 milliliters, and these two options hold 28 milliliters. That's pretty similar, and you can compare. They're still a little bit longer than marula with the stem trimmed off, however. So one part to consider, the diameter of Leia Cup is wider, so you might have more space for your cervix to dip into the cup. And on the firmness, you know, I like to rate cups myself. Going into firmness quickly, firmness is quite subjective. This is a 4 to me. It has a firmer rim than body by a little bit, but that helps it open. And if you want comparisons to something you might be familiar with, Diva Cup is 3, which is average, right smack in the middle, and something like a Salt is also a 4 on the firmness scale. The density of the silicones feel different. It's hard to explain, but this is like a bouncier silicone than this one. It almost feels a little bit more like TPE than it does silicone in how the material feels. It's really, really silky soft. So that's something interesting. A little bit of background on the Leia Cup brand. Really interesting about this cup is that it's designed for people with a low cervix and those who have weak pelvic floor, and it was done in conjunction with a product design expert alongside an OBGYN, and they just happen to be siblings. The brother who designed it, his name is Konstantin. The OBGYN, Dr. Leia Dolgan, is based in Kazakhstan. The brother is based in Louisiana. They did not manufacture it in Louisiana. They did their design in Louisiana, and then it was manufactured in China. Now for the review portion, I did go with their size large, but I am almost positive I could have also used this next size down, their medium, because they're so close together. This one's only like, you know, millimeters, tiny, tiny, tiny bit larger than their medium.
And I'm gonna start with the large first, just because my pelvic floor is less tight than maybe other people's. So I think the large diameter is gonna be good. And I actually have a lower than average cervix. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this body profile works for me. Investigating to see that it's open. This one's kind of hard to feel if it's open, but I think it is. So true test will be if it doesn't leak, because I'm not wearing period underwear, because I'm just wearing regular underwear because I gave up on my period starting today. I wore period underwear for like 2 days thinking it was going to start any minute now, and it didn't. And today I was like, let's wear regular underwear and then it will start. I am so smart because that's exactly what happened.
What was really great about the Leia Cup is that the firmness, along with this kind of angled rim, really had a firm placement. So maybe the angled rim is part of the design that kept it in place better than some of the straight ones. In fact, the Leia Cup was one that I actually had like some difficulties getting out at first, especially I think my first day.
First removal of Leia Cup, and so far so good. Totally comfortable and no leaks. It's actually got a very strong suction, which is kind of unusual for cups for me. So this is actually quite suctiony still. So I've had to basically pull the rim down to break the suction, which that's that. Not much because I started late through the day.
Because it was suctioned. And it does have suction holes. I just really had to get it to a good spot where I could break the seal fully to get it out, which is not scary for me because I know what's going on, but I imagine that some people might be a little nervous if that's their experience.
Gonna make sure I check the angle. I want the tall side facing back.
The Leia Cup angled rim design, at least from their workshop, has you sort of tucking it around the cervix in a lot of their diagrams. I like to tell people that your cup goes below the cervix. It's not meant to suction around the cervix. It can for some people, and as long as it's not uncomfortable, that's okay. If it's uncomfortable or painful, if it's literally suctioning to your cervix and it feels like sharp, sharp, sharp cramps, that's probably a cup that you need to reposition in the future to make sure it stays low. But if it continues to get sucked onto your cervix, you do want to not use that cup because that's just not a fun experience. I've had it happen with a couple brands and I did not love that. Luckily, this did not do that for me, but I wanted to mention it because I know that they really have the diagrams almost like hugging the cervix. That can be okay, but it can sometimes be really painful.
I'm gonna remove the Leia Cup. I assume it's Leia. I've been saying Leia this whole time. And I've worn it all day. So we'll see where we're at.
Every time I went to remove it, I never dropped anything into my underwear.
This is the part where I tell Kim in the future when she's editing reviews and looking over footage to remember how it was working that everything worked great. I could feel the stem when I wiped, but it was never uncomfortable when I was moving around or walking. And I usually cut stems off because I'm wearing average menstrual cup lengths. This one is a short body for lower cervix. So with a stem, the size large works great for me. And I've never felt it's been totally comfortable. That was wild. I can't show you, but I had such a strong strand in the cup that was so thick that as I removed it, it was more out of the cup than in the cup, and it actually pulled fluid from inside the cup out of it, so it like emptied the cup like this. Oh God, that was a first.
Even though it was like really close to my vaginal entrance, I don't remember having to push it back in like I did for a lot of other cups that I've tried that come down lower. And when they talk about who this is designed for, they say for weaker pelvic floor muscles, which I am in that category. So I think like this wider rim, very kind of reminds me of the Tampax cup, which had that similar thought that you have a really wide rim to keep it in place against muscle movement. This one also has a really wide rim and a firm rim, and it has that angling. So it's going for a similar force of suction that it's creating, that it makes it stay in place, which also can be a little harder to remove, but for all your day-to-day activities, super good.
I guess I've removed it a couple of times now, and the first time was kind of rough. Now we're looking at pretty easy removals. Let's remove it. And not a lot.
So cleaning, I do like to mention cleaning in my reviews. This was easy to clean. The suction holes cleaned out fine. I will say it stained even faster than Hello Disc. I know a lot of people have said, oh my God, my Hello Disc stains really fast. I think I think my Hello Disc took like about 3 full cycles to start having some staining. This is the cup I used, which has been cleaned and boiled. It does have staining like underneath the rim already, and that was only for 1 cycle. It's not a deal breaker for me by any means, but some people just really hate stains. Again, not something I'm super concerned about. Usually I don't talk about staining because none of the products stained that fast. Even the Hello Disc hadn't stained by the time I filmed my review. So yeah, this one stayed like very immediately. So let's do some low cervix comparisons. So if we're thinking it like a size 1 comparison, this is a salt and it is shorter than a salt and it's shorter than the Saltine as well, just by a little bit. This is the Hello Low Cervix Small, and this is their Leia Small. This is the Hello Low Cervix Large, and that's kind of here. This is their large, this is the Leia Medium. We've got a Marula 1 size. We did talk about the diameters of these earlier, so you can see that they are larger diameter, but hold 28 milliliters, these two, and this one holds 30 milliliters as a low cervix option. I'm not going to bust out every single Maluna because there's so many, but they do have a shorty line for low cervixes. It is far more petite, and of course this only holds like, I think 15 milliliters, so this is much smaller even than their smallest cup. The Havea Loop Cup has 3 sizes like Leia does. It is a much softer Firmness menstrual cup that works for some with a low cervix, and it's made of natural rubber. Juju Model 4 is a very popular low cervix option. Here it is in comparison to the Leia Cup line. It is going to have a wider rim than the small one. Here we go. But they are similar firmnesses. But this one is smooth silicone, and this is like a tacky silicone, but also feels thicker. I do say Juju is a bit firmer, even though they are about the same firmness. It feels a little bit firmer because of the denser, thicker rim. This is the Cotton Mermaid Guppy. It's really not something you can get in the US anymore, but just for comparison's sake, that is the Cotton Mermaid Guppy. And this is the Formosa, which is very similar to, almost identical to the Femicycle. A lot of people with low cervixes like this cup. They have one with a shorter stem. The Femicycle has a low cervix model. It's just a shorter stem. So instead of being here, it's like down here, like flatter. And again, not my favorite, but some people really love it. So I wanted to just show it in comparison to the Leia Cup. And then when you're talking about it being a lower cup than a lot of the averages, this is a Diva Cup and this is the Leia Cup Large. This is their size 2. So you can see how much longer it is, and you can trim the stem to make this one even shorter. Here is a salt size regular, and here is like a salt size small. So you can kind of see that with these stems trimmed, it does come in lower, but with the stems on, it's not too much shorter than some of these longer cups. But again, you can trim the stem. It did work amazingly for me. It's actually one of the best working cups I've tried in a while. It's probably one of the most comfortable and best performing cups that I can forget about since probably the Hello Low Cervix. So I do skew now more towards low cervix cups that work better for me in my age and where my cervix height is and how things fit for me when I'm talking about cups specifically. So it turns out that this new brand works great for me because of that. I think that's it. We did the unboxing, we did the backstory, a little bit about the brand, gave you all of the dimensions, and if you need even more dimensions and want to do a lot of in-depth comparison, I definitely recommend going to thecupfinder.com because you can go and search by lengths or sort them by capacity, or you can use the sortable cup chart on thecupchart.com, and I'll link all of this in the video description below, along with my full written review of the Leia Cup, so that if you don't like videos and you just watch this whole thing, so I guess you do, you can go to that review and see some images as well. And if you want to buy a Leia Cup, we do now have them on Period.Shop. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here. I did the thing. I put my new play button behind me for filming. I don't know if it's going to stay there forever, but today the 100,000 subscriber play button, which I just received, is here. So exciting. I did an unboxing in YouTube Shorts if you want to see that.
Period Nirvana play button.
I know. Okay. rambling on as usual, but I think that's it for me. Thank you for being a subscriber, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Out comes founder who is the I talked to the co-founder who was the